Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Hell for Dummies. Today we're going to be covering the demon Lairs. I've been really favoring the fighter over the ranger simply because he can also use a bow and just takes less damage, which, I mean, doesn't really make sense to me, but, you know, I guess that's a subject for another time or a topic of debate for someone else. But if you have any reason that you think that you would prefer the ranger over the fighter besides the fact that they can use traps, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Something I obviously feel slightly strongly about, but whatever. So we're gonna be grabbing that level 1 fighter, and we're gonna make sure that we have rush, or sprint I think it's called, as well as the second wind, and then we're also gonna make sure that we have weapons mastery, because that's gonna let us use every weapon that we find. And it's kind of important to have some sort of ranged option when you're planning on clearing the Inferno levels. So if you don't have range yourself, make sure someone on your team has range, and then pop right in. Because some of the spawns, if you don't have range, you're going to have to cheese your way out of the room and just clear a different room. Or if you consider yourself like beastly, you know, maybe you can just like dodge archer shots all day and whatnot. But this video is geared toward newer players, so I'm going to be showing a lot of cheese strats and like kind of safe strats. Now when I actually get to hell, you'll see that I elect to clear the room in like kind of a fast, sort of sloppy way. And that's because I have to work my way in there from the skeleton bridge, so I'm running low on time. And the whole reason that we go into the Inferno anyway is to be able to loot those golden and those lion's mane chests, because the loot table is like a level of loot higher than the loot table for the golden and lion mane chest in like the regular dungeon. Now on a note, we are going HR, and this is a level 1 gray character, no other buffs or anything. We haven't leveled him up at all, we haven't bought any equipment, and it's mostly to show that yes, you can do it just with a little bit of map knowledge and a little bit of technique. You can go ahead and grab the hell loot anytime you want. So if you want to just see the hell strats, go ahead and skip around to like the 10-minute mark, is usually where I end up actually in there. But otherwise, if you're kind of a new player, I will be notating a lot of the strats that I use on my approach into the Inferno, and I hope that it can be informative for you. Now, this is a really easy room to clear, as well as the room to the north of it. They both have the exact same strat. You just go wake up everything in the room if you want to be a cheese lord, and then you go run into this safe spot up here. There's one on the other side of the room too, like just across from me to my south. Either side works. You just bop everything in the head and call it good. Now, doing it like that obviously grants us access to all of the loot in the room. When we're approaching hell, it's pretty important to actually get as much gear as we can on the way in there. So be fearless. I would say, like, some players are more PvP oriented. If that's your gig, then that's your gig. But when you don't have gear, I would say it's just a smart idea to try to avoid other people. So if you hear footsteps, just like kind of avoid them and just cheese from room to room as fast as you can and get as many chests as you possibly can. On a note, these darker chests with the cross on them, I should say the darker coffins with the cross on them, are going to have better loot than like the normal white coffins. And you'll see the different levels of chest, and you'll start to get familiar with the different levels of chests that have different levels of loot. Like, for instance, obviously the lion's mane and the golden chests, which are usually locked, but sometimes the lion's manes are open, are going to have way better loot than like a small chest or a reinforced chest or whatever. The ornate bronze chests, you'll come across those are sometimes locked as well. They have the same level of loot from what I've seen as like a lion's mane chest, they just have less loot in them because they're a smaller chest. So that's a good thing to kind of keep in mind. So find the flow that works for you. I decide that since I cleared the entire room, I might as well just search every single chest. So that's what we're doing. And we also find range, which is really good. That's going to help our survivability like a ton. You'll see that I find another bow here in a moment as well. And this is something to just keep in mind. Like, this is actually really important. Each bow automatically comes equipped with a full quiver of arrows. So think of it like a clip in a gun. It didn't used to be this way, but try to think of the bows like a gun with a clip in it. And each bow comes with a clip already fully loaded. And this has saved my life in the past as well. Just remembering, oh, I have an extra bow in my inventory. When I'm out of arrows on the other bow, you just switch bows and that new bow will have like a full clip. So that's huge. So the room to the north is the exact same strat. I kind of want to pop up there, but the storm circle looks really good to go clear this room to my west. So I'm going to go do that because this is another room that's insanely easy to cheese. And I have showed this room in previous videos. There's just like this cute little path that you can run where everything follows you. If you just wake up everything in the room and then run an S through those spike traps on the ground, everything will try to follow you and get to you, and they end up just dying on the spike traps, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And then this room has like, I don't even know, like 10 chests or something, and one of them is a lion's mane, and there's a chance that a couple of them are ornate chests. So this is a cool room to clear without even drawing your weapon, and just be able to get like 10 or 12 chests basically for free. So the big thing that I'm going to be listening for is archer audio cues, because the archers grunt every time they shoot. And we're just going to kind of remember where they are, and every time they shoot, we're going to do a little weave. And like I said, we're picking up everything in the room, and we're just going to try to kite them across the spike traps. So I'm just going to kind of speed this part up because I'm just running around and looting the entire room. You'll see that I prioritize, though, the archer bodies because enemies will have a higher chance of dropping the weapon that they use. So archers are going to have a higher chance of like dropping bows or crossbows, as well as arrows and bolts for the crossbow or the bows. So I really want to make sure I have that ranged option, so I don't search any of the bodies except for the archer and crossbowman. But I do find another bow in a chest, and that's huge, as I said. And I'm feeling pretty safe on this side of the map, so I'm just going to cut back to that room that I was in before, and I'm actually going to clear the north room as well. I'll probably just speed that part up because you already saw kind of how I do that. Another note for new players as well, you run a lot faster when you put your weapons away. So remember what button that is, put your weapons away. All of these boxes are going to have loot in them too. Boxes and barrels you can smash if you have a smashy weapon. The rapier does not have the capability, as well as like certain daggers, like I think all daggers, they do not have the capability of actually doing damage to boxes. So keep that in mind. You'll hit the box like 12 times and be like, wait, this isn't working. It's because it's not. It's literally never going to break the barrel. However, if you have like a bow, like if you're a ranger, you can shoot like 4 arrows into a box or a barrel and it'll break it, just on a note. I love the way that sounds when it's sped up. They sound so cute. Now another thing I've notated, I'm not like running from the storm here. I don't really care about the tick damage of the storm. Like, it's not as scary as in other battle royales because you can see on my health bar right now I have like gray health, light red health, and then like dark red health. That gray health is non-recoverable health, and when you get hit by an enemy, it deals something like 75% recoverable health and like 25% non-recoverable health. But when you take tick damage from the storm, it just does 100% recoverable health. So if you can make it back into the storm circle before that health goes away, like before your health depletes completely, you can rest all of that health back, and it's like the definition of not scary at all. You're just kind of on a timer. You'll see what I did there. That's a strat I use constantly. I see that axe, man. I know that I'm kind of on a time crunch. I want to make it over to this red portal, And remembering where all the static red portals is kind of huge if you're going to do like exclusively hell runs the way that I do. I almost always path directly to the red portals. But if you ever run into an enemy that you just don't want to deal with, look for opportunities to kite it into the previous room, lock it in a room, and that's going to be a huge time save. Now another thing, I could have elected to stay and just like keep looting chests. It's just that I feel like I have a good amount of gear here. Just to survive hell. I have my ranged option, which is really all that matters, and I actually already have a pretty disgusting amount of PDR, which stands for point damage reduction. It's just like if I get hit, I take less damage on the equipment that I'm wearing. So I feel like I'm already pretty prepared for hell, and I don't want to run into any other players, because if I run into them, they might be geared to the teeth and super aggro like a lot of people are in this game and just murder me on sight, and I'd rather be able to make it to hell and get some cool loot. So this is another kind of important thing. You see I sort all of the stuff I care about less to the right, and all of the stuff I care about actually keeping or I think is really good to the left. And that makes it so that when I actually get into the Inferno, if I find any gear that's like insane and I'm like, oh, what do I drop? Well, you just drop the stuff on the right, just like bing, bing, bing. It's really fast, and you're going to be working against the clock the entire time that you're in hell. So just utilizing every second once you're in there is going to be huge. The rooms are a lot harder to clear, and you want to be able to actually clear the rooms so that when that escape portal spawns, you have easy access to it. Okay, so I get a spawn in Blood Bridge. I consider going west for a second, but then I see that the storm circle is not centered on that location. And I realized I haven't cleared the room to the east in a tutorial yet. So I have shown this room and the safe strats in this room. And you can go ahead and watch that on a previous video. I think it's called like Bridge something. Just search Hell for Dummies Bridge and you'll find it. I just need to get out of here. And I consider clearing the floor minions so that I can like get more loot, but then I'm like, okay, no, the priority is to the east. So all we need to do is escape. There's 2 minions on this upper balcony and we already woke both of them up, so we can just murder those. There's archers in the east and west side of the room in the towers, but they can't hit you when you're standing on the pillars as long as you don't go too high up. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that cheese. Like I said, I've covered in a previous video, go ahead and check that out if you wanna see some strats for this room. But another good notation, like all of the strats that I cover in my videos in this particular series, the Hell for Dummies series, are intended to help you gain confidence in hell. I don't want you to follow the exact route every single time that I use. Rather, I want you to learn the strats that allow you to improvise, because I want to go east and say I'm getting pushed by the storm circle. Like this would be like kind of a fast strat. So if you learn those strats and gain some like being comfortable down here, then you can go ahead and put together your own routes and your own strats, and you're going to be a lot more able to like think on your feet when it's time to move down here. And if things go wrong or things go sour and you have to think on your feet, that's one thing. If you move into the room and you just do it differently than you've ever done it before, that's a completely different thing. The important thing though is before you make any move, you want to make sure that you have a plan. Stay calm, especially if things go wrong, and just have a plan. And even if the plan doesn't work, you know that for next time. And they say a master has failed in every single way. So it's important not to be afraid when you're down here, just to try new strats. Yeah, just don't make a move, I would say, unless you actually have a plan in mind, because things can go sour very quickly down here. So I also elect to kill these archers because I know that the room to my east is really range oriented, or at least the way that I clear it. And if you actually want access to those golden chests, you're gonna have to fight a couple of crossbowmen or archers on your way up there. So I want as many arrows as I can get, and since, like we covered, archers drop arrows and, you know, crossbow bolts, killing these guys is going to give me a higher chance of just having more ammo. Sadly, I don't actually get any more ammo, but it's worth doing it just for consistency. Now, I almost always trap the zombies when I'm trying to clear a room, because these tight pathways are going to turn into a death trap if any sort of zombie can start spawning those burp clouds. And it just takes so much time to clear them, and I'm already running like a third of the way up the timer by the time I get in here. So just trap that zombie. Remember this room on this side. On the opposite side, there's like a parallel room that you can also like either lock things in, or it kind of looks like a spawn room. But on this side, you can actually poke out the side as opposed to the other side and fight this archer really quickly. You can cheese almost everything in this room actually if you have enough ammo, just by like kiting them over, and they'll stand across the walkway like you'll see in a second, and you just shoot it down, like if you're a wizard or a warlock or a ranger. However, I don't have like a ton of ammo, so I know what's important to clear is probably that archer right there, as well as the other archers that are blocking the path to the lion's mane chests at the top of the room. I don't really want to use any arrows unless I know that I can retrieve them, and I know that I can't actually get up to that guy unless I clear a couple other things and can jump up there. You can see here I'm trying to search his body, but yeah, I don't think it's really possible from here. So what you're going to see from here on out is me just like kiting every enemy in the room over to this cheese spot. And I know that I have enough ammo to kill the enemies one at a time, and if they fall off the platform I can just jump down there into the blood really quickly and like retrieve my arrows. So yeah, that's what we're gonna see. Well, I like trapping the zombie in the opposite side of the room in this room after I clear all of the other enemies. However, that's not the strat I take here. I know that I'm kind of running out of time, so I basically just clear the essential mobs to clear, which are going to be the 2 dogs, the skeleton that I forgot about until he gets up in a minute here, as well as the archers. And once you clear those minions, the upper pathways are actually free. Or I should say the upper platforms are actually free, and that's where the lion's mane chest is. So this isn't actually, like I said, it's not the strat that I would normally use. Normally I'll pick my way through the room and kill every single enemy and kite them over to the cheese spot. The way that I fought that dog just now, I'll just notate that really quickly. Every time you hear them about to attack, you can just sidestep and it's impossible for them to hit you. And then you have enough time to get in one attack on them before they probably go to attack again and you have to sidestep. Another really important note too is the electric back on the dogs, or any electric enemy in hell. If you hit the electric part, it'll reflect your damage back at you. And if you rewind, you'll see I make a mistake and I accidentally bop him on his electric part, and I lose like 1/3 of my health in one hit. So be really careful just to avoid that electric part. On a note too, I told you I completely forgot about this minion. So when I went to go kite the other dog over, he came at me. And I just kind of fell back on the cheese strat that I have. I run back into the room, close the door, he goes and stands in the cheese spot, and we can just kind of murder him from across the gap. So that's cool. So this mummy, sorry, the zombie that I trapped in the previous room is now spawning burp clouds through the door, which can happen. It's pretty awful. This stuff burns like none other, and you lose health like uber fast. So just be like stupid careful not to let that stuff touch you. I was trying to prevent him from spawning any, but they spawned them 2 at a time, and he burped twice, which made 4. Okay, so that center area of the room as well with the skeleton mage has a couple of black nightmare death heads in it, and they boost twice, which can be rather hard to deal with. I do cover in other videos in my series how to fight them straight. You just kind of do a lateral dodge when there's not a grate in the way. You do a lateral dodge, try to remember where they land, and immediately dodge laterally again to them after gaining some distance from them. But there we see that I just kind of like cheese them out. So this platform that I'm currently on only has 1 archer, and I know I already cleared it, so it's pretty safe if you stand back here outside of the range of the other archer minion. I don't even want to like kill him right now because I want to use all the time that I have. But like I said, in a normal strat, I would go ahead and clear basically every single thing in the room first. But as you familiarize yourself with the enemies in the rooms, just by coming down here and trying over and over again, you'll start learning like where the enemies that you can clear to create safe spots are. And that's huge. Just keep playing, keep trying. You'll see I run out of ammo on my recurve bow. I just switched to my survival bow. That's where that clip comes in handy. So that's pretty nice too. From here, it's pretty simple. You'll see like the enemies in the room aren't cleared, but I path around in a decent way. I'm listening for those archer audio cues. I know where that archer is. I heard him grunt, and I was able to sidestep those. So that's huge. Like, I would say one of the biggest audio cues in the game is just learning what that archer grunt sounds like, because it's gonna save your life constantly. That and the death head audio cue. You'll hear him make like this kind of sound. If you have surround sound, you can tell kind of where it's coming from too. Yeah. And if you don't have surround sound, just pop on a pair of headphones. Like, wearing earbuds over just like listening to it through your computer speakers is gonna be massive. So I got lucky and I actually found a lockpick in the dungeon. You'll see you know, I'm able to make some purple gear and stuff. That's really nice. That's like the dream right there, is finding a lockpick on your way in and then being able to hit one of these golden chests. We didn't get any golden items, kind of sadly, but that's all right. We still score a fair amount of loot, and that's what it's all about. Since I didn't clear all the enemies in the room either, and making that strategic call of like, should I try to cheese here? Should I just try to escape? Like, do I actually have a plan that can work here? Is gonna help your survivability like a ton. So, I mean, I just kind of cheese my way out, cheese the loot, and, yeah, here I'm supposed to be able to make that jump. I just jump a little too early and am able to run over to kind of like the backup strat, which is coming up that side staircase. Yeah, and we're basically on easy street. We're out. So just kind of on the last note, I like just de-kitting. I'm a big fan of just doing Rage or Hell runs, just because I'm a fan of like challenge runs, I guess. But I'll de-kit all of my gear until I have like 3 full kits of gear. That way, if I'm playing with like some competitive peeps and they want me to wear gear, I can wear a set of gear, and I'm not under pressure like, oh, that's my only set of gear, because that pressure I think is a big killer too. You know, I tend to make mistakes. It helps to know like, oh yeah, I have a couple of sets of gear to fall back on. But you can just wear that gear in on the next one. What I elect to do here is actually just kind of like sell all my sellables and buy a base set of gray gear, kit my fighter up, and that'll increase our... Also, I get some like heals and stuff for my next run. I delete this character, of course, but this is all hypothetical. So just having those, you know, extra heals in that gray kit is actually going to make our next run even easier than that run. So, yeah. If you enjoyed the video or you learned anything, please drop a like and subscribe down below. Just the like helps massively. If you have any strategies that differed from the strategies I showed in this video that relate to that specific room, then, which is called the demon lair, and there's no demons in it. I don't know why it's called the demon lair. I guess there's a couple of dogs, but that's it. Then yeah, drop those strategies in the comments below. The more strategies we can share as a community, the better loot we can all get, and the better loot is circulated, and it's just nice to kind of help newer players and circulate those strats, because not every strat is going to work for every player or play style or every class, and it's important to kind of figure out what works for you. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. I hope you have a lovely day, and yeah, good luck and farewell, adventurers.